Hello and welcome to this series on JMeter Beginner tutorial. So this is the 15th session on this series, and today we are going to look at how to set up realistic performance test in JMeter, and we will look at pacing. Okay, so what is a real world performance test? Okay, so as we have seen in our earlier sessions, we set up a thread group and we create some number of virtual users and we start our performance testing. But that is not a actual performance test, because in real world we will not be having a constant load every time on our application. The number of users and the number of virtual users and load will be varying, and also the actions that the user performs will have some delay between the sessions, right? So one of the thing is we have to think about is think time. And think time is nothing but to simulate actual user actions with timings and delays. Okay, and this can be achieved by using some timers in JMeter, and I will talk about it in a later session. So this basically means that a real world user will take some time in doing some actions, or the random actions that he will be performing, there will be some delay between that. And there are many other things like the sessions and other things that we have to take care, which we will cover later. But today we will be looking at pacing. Okay, and what does pacing means is to control the number of virtual users, the ramp up and the ramp down period, controlling the time delay between two iterations. So in basic words we can say how to achieve x number of iterations in y number of seconds or minutes. This is what pacing is all about. And if you go to if we look at load runner, they have a setting called pacing. Okay, and we can set up pacing in load runner in these following ways. One is start new iteration as soon as the previous iteration ends, or start new iteration after the previous iteration ends with a fixed or some variable delay between two iterations. And then we can set up at our own random intervals the iteration, the new iteration. We can set up at some random interval in load runner. But how to incorporate the same thing into JMeter? So for that we have to add a plugin called stepping thread. Okay, so if I go to Google and say stepping thread group, I click this site JMeter plugins. So we have stepping thread group, which allows us to add threads with all these permutation combinations and with all these menu items. Okay, so how to get this stepping thread group? Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go to our JMeter and we will go to options and we will go to plugins manager. Okay, and if you do not see plugins manager in yours on your options screen, then you can go to my JMeter Beginner tutorial 12, which is how to use plugin manager. Okay, this one, and here you can find out exactly how do we you configure and use plugin manager into JMeter. So after that you will get a option of plugin manager. You can click here, and here in the available plugins you can search for this particular plugin, and you should be getting this. You should be getting JPGC standard set. You should be getting this plugin. As of now I already have it, so I am getting this in my installed plugins. But for you, you will go to available plugins and search for this and uh, install it. Okay, and if you face any issues you can watch this particular tutorial and get this running. Okay, so once we have this plugin installed, you can go to your test plan and now go to threads, and instead of adding a thread group we are going to add a stepping thread group. Okay, so this is the stepping thread group that we have added. Let me add a sampler. So I am adding a HTTP request, and for that let us add some web page. Okay, let us add this particular web page. So this is the domain I will add, and this is the page we need to test. Let us add some listeners. I'm adding results in tree table, and let me also add aggregate report. So we have 3 listeners now, a HTTP request, and this is the stepping thread group. Okay, now let us see what all options do we have. It says this group will start 100 threads. Okay, so this means this is the maximum thread count that will be used for this particular test. Then we have an option first wait for. So if you want to have some idle time for the application, you can say the number of seconds for which the application should wait before starting the virtual users. And you can see as soon as you make any changes here, you will see the graph will be getting changed here, and I will explain this in a moment. Then start how many threads. So I'm saying then start 10 threads, and then add 10 threads every 10 seconds. Okay, and use ramp up period as let's say 0 seconds, or okay, let us say 0 seconds. Okay, and then hold for how many seconds? Let's say hold for 60 seconds, which is 1 minute, and finally stop 10 threads every 10 seconds. Okay, now what we have done is we said that this particular test plan will have 100 threads, and you can see in this graph the x-axis is the elapsed time and the y-axis is number of active threads. Okay, and the max threads is 100 because we have set up 100 threads here. Okay, then we are saying first wait for 10 seconds. So you can see the first 10 seconds the application is not doing anything, it is just idle. Okay, then start 10 threads. So it has started with 10 threads after 10 seconds here, and add 10 threads every 10 seconds. So you can see every 10 seconds 10 threads are added. Okay, you can see this graph going up, 10 threads are added every 10 seconds. Okay, now what is this ramp up period? So we are saying that add 10 threads every 10 seconds, but the addition is instant, right? It is not waiting for some time to add those threads. If we say here 10, now you can see this graph has tilted a little bit. So what is happening? The 10 threads are being added are not added at an instant, but they are added 1 thread per second, and that's why we have used ramp up period of 10 seconds, right? If I decrease it, you can see the graph. Now 10 threads are added uh, in 5 seconds. So every second 2 threads are added, but as of now let me make it at 0. Okay, then we are saying hold for 60 seconds. So what it is doing is once all the threads are added, which is 100 users, it is waiting for 60 seconds. So for 60 seconds our application is running at a maximum load of 100 virtual users, and after 60 seconds we are saying stop 10 threads every 10 seconds. So again the ramp down of the threads is also controlled, and we are saying that it should not be an instant ramp down of the virtual users, but every 10 seconds 10 users should be going away from our application. Okay, now if I make it as 0, okay, so you can see the steep curve. After 1 minute all the threads are stopped instantly. Okay, but we do not want this, we want it to close gracefully, and therefore we are using this settings. Okay, and now this is kind of a realistic performance test, because now we have controlled the iterations, and we also have some delay between the iterations. And now if we start our test, we will save it. So you can see here, okay, for first 10 seconds no active threads are there. Okay, and after 10 seconds we are getting 10 threads, and every 10 seconds we will have 10 users added. Now see, it became 20. When it will reach 30 seconds, it will become 30 users. See how the load is increasing, and we can see this aggregate report as well. Okay, so every 10 seconds we are adding 10 users, and if you go to load runner menu, this is what we have achieved, right? We can control all these settings now in JMeter as well. Okay, so this is how you can see the threads are increasing and we are getting a realistic performance test. So this is how we can set up pacing in JMeter. Hope you like it. Thank you.